Welcome snoozy friends to the channel's new playlist on the planets of our solar system. Today we would be drifting toward our sixth planet Saturn and its journey. What is it made of? And the impact of Saturn on our lives. Close your eyes, relax, and let's start our journey. One favor from our listeners, please do comment how did you like the video, as it helps us to keep making more. Also like and help other snoozy mates by sharing. Let's begin. As the stars begin to shimmer and the night sky unfolds, let us drift beyond Earth to a world where silence speaks and every planet has a story to whisper. Close your eyes now. Let the soft edges of the day fade. Let your breath slow, like waves pulling back from a quiet shore. Let the noise of thought drift further and further away. Above you, in the sky beyond clouds and gravity, the solar system awaits. Tonight, we travel beyond the asteroid belt, past Jupiter's swirling storms, into a region of gentle giants and endless hush. And there, glowing like a lantern lit in the cold of space, is Saturn. Not shining like Venus. Not red like Mars. Not looming like Jupiter. But pale, golden. Softly wrapped in light and ring. It waits, not loudly, not hurriedly, but patiently. A planet that has spun for over 4 billion years, always watching, always circling. You begin to float toward it now. Not in a ship. Not with engines. But in the quiet of your imagination. Guided by wonder. Drifting slowly through space toward a place of stillness. From a distance, Saturn looks delicate. That's what struck Galileo in 1610 when he first saw it through a small telescope. At first, he thought it had tears. He didn't yet know he was seeing the rings. But even then, he could tell this planet was different. And now, as you float closer, you see what he saw, and more. The planet is enormous, over 95 times the mass of Earth, yet it seems gentle. It doesn't burn like a star. It doesn't blaze with color. It glows. Its color is soft gold, like honey or autumn light. Its edges are wrapped in a halo, not one ring but thousands, spread out like the grooves of a record. Saturn spins rapidly, once every 10.7 hours, faster than Earth, despite its enormous size. This spin flattens the planet slightly, giving it a subtle bulge at the equator. A beautiful imperfection. You drift nearer, and the rings become clearer. Not solid. Not smooth. But made of ice. And each flake, each piece, catches sunlight like a tiny mirror. It is a planet wearing a crown made of frozen time. And you are welcome here. They stretch out over 280,000 kilometers, more than 2/3 the distance from Earth to the Moon. And yet, they are razor thin. In most places, the rings are only 10 to 30 meters thick, barely the height of a building. They're made of billions of pieces of ice and rock, from specks the size of sand to boulders the size of houses. All orbiting Saturn together, like a symphony of snow. You glide above them now, through the Cassini division, a dark gap separating the brightest rings. This isn't empty space. It's sculpted, shaped by gravitational nudges from Saturn's moons. Some moons, called shepherd moons, dance near the edges of the rings, holding them in place with invisible fingers. It feels quiet here. Like a library of light. Scientists still debate how the rings formed. Were they pieces of a shattered moon? Leftovers from Saturn's birth? Or are they younger, only 100 million years old? And some believe they won't last forever. The rings may be slowly falling inward, raining ice into Saturn's atmosphere. They are vast. They are fragile. They are temporary. Just like everything. But right now, they are here. And you are gliding among them. Weightless. Peaceful. Drifting across frozen echoes of Saturn's story. You leave the rings behind now. Drifting inward. Toward Saturn itself. And as you approach, a quiet realization washes over you. There is no surface here. No mountains. No oceans. No place to land. Saturn is a gas giant, a world made not of rock, but of hydrogen and helium, the same elements that make up stars. You enter its upper atmosphere gently. Clouds wrap around you in waves of pale yellow, soft cream, faded gold. These clouds aren't soft like Earth's. They stretch in bands, some moving east, others west, creating a swirling, striped appearance. The winds here are ferocious, among the fastest in the solar system. Over 1,800 kilometers per hour, faster than the speed of sound. But you don't feel it. In this dream, you are weightless, shielded, floating through Saturn's sky as if it were a slow-moving river. Deeper still, the colors shift. The gases become denser. The pressure builds. It's not like falling. More like sinking into deeper and deeper layers of cloud. At a certain point, hydrogen begins to behave strangely. Under pressure, it transforms from gas into a liquid, and eventually into something rarer still. Metallic hydrogen. It's not something we've ever touched. But we believe it exists here, a layer of shimmering, liquid metal swirling deep inside. That layer may conduct electricity. It may be the engine of Saturn's vast magnetic field. But there is no solid surface beneath it. No floor. Just more depth. Saturn does not end. It fades. From gas to fluid to mystery. And in the center, perhaps, a tiny core of rock and ice, no larger than Earth, hidden beneath layers no probe has ever reached. But tonight, you don't need to find it. You are not here to measure. You are here to float. You are here to listen to the stillness beneath Saturn's storms. You close your eyes and feel the hush of hydrogen wrap gently around your thoughts. Beneath the clouds, beneath the noise, there is silence. And it is beautiful. Beneath the golden clouds. Beneath the silence. Beneath the weightless stillness of Saturn's atmosphere. There pulses an unseen force. It doesn't shine like the rings. It doesn't roar like the winds. But it is powerful. Saturn's magnetic field. You can't see it. But you feel it now, like the low hum of an ancient engine. A presence in the space around you. A field of invisible strength. Generated deep within the planet, likely in that ocean of metallic hydrogen, Saturn's magnetic field extends hundreds of thousands of kilometers in every direction. It's not as strong as Jupiter's. But it's still thousands of times stronger than Earth's. This field acts like a shield, deflecting the solar wind, protecting Saturn and its moons from harmful radiation. It creates a kind of bubble around the planet called the magnetosphere, a space where charged particles swirl, dance, and flow. Sometimes, when those particles spiral into Saturn's poles, they create glowing curtains of light. Auroras. Not green and purple like Earth's, but ultraviolet, invisible to the human eye. Still, you imagine them. Great arcs of energy, curling through the upper atmosphere, silent and shimmering in Saturn's long twilight. And the most curious part? Unlike other planets, Saturn's magnetic field is almost perfectly aligned with its rotation. We don't yet know why. Even after years of study, this gas giant still holds secrets. And here, floating near the edge of its magnetosphere, you feel them. Not with your mind, but with something deeper. There is wisdom in quietness. There is strength in silence. And Saturn hums with both. You leave Saturn's atmosphere behind, rising once more, gentle as breath, drifting outward toward one of the planet's many moons. But this moon, this one is different. Titan, the second largest moon in the solar system, even bigger than the planet Mercury. A place that, somehow, feels familiar. At first, you see only haze, a soft orange fog, wrapped thick around the world like a dream not yet remembered. Titan has a true atmosphere, denser than Earth's. It's made mostly of nitrogen, just like ours, but laced with methane and ethane, giving it that golden orange tint. You drift down through the clouds slowly, and as the mist parts, the surface comes into view. And what a surface it is! Not dry, not cracked like the Moon or Mars, but carved. You see rivers. Yes, rivers. They twist and bend like those on Earth, but they're not made of water. They're made of liquid methane and ethane, cold hydrocarbons, flowing under a sky where the average temperature is -179 degrees Celsius. Lakes gather in the lowlands. Sea shimmer near the poles. There are sand dunes made of frozen particles. Valleys. Canyons. And maybe, beneath it all, an ocean of liquid water, hidden deep beneath Titan's icy crust. You land softly now, gently touching down on a frozen shore beside a sea called Kraken Mare, the largest known body of liquid on Titan. It stretches out before you like an alien version of Earth's northern oceans. The waves are slow. The breeze is cold. The sky is copper-colored. But it feels peaceful. This world is alien, and yet oddly familiar. In 2005, the Huygens probe, carried by the Cassini spacecraft, landed here. The first and only landing in the outer solar system. It survived for just over an hour, sending back images, measurements, stories. And then, it slept. You listen now to Titan's hush, the hush of possibility. Of chemistry. Of clouds that rain methane. Of landscapes that echo Earth in a mirror of ice. And you wonder, could life ever exist here? Not as we know it. But something slow. Something strange? Something dreaming beneath the crust? Titan doesn't answer. It simply glows, bathed in the reflected light of Saturn, wrapped in its golden fog. Now you drift toward a much smaller moon, a world barely 500 kilometers across, no bigger than a large island on Earth. From far away, it looks like a smooth white marble, glowing softly. This is Enceladus. It reflects nearly all the sunlight that hits it, its surface made almost entirely of pure ice. But don't let its silence fool you. Enceladus is alive. You draw closer, and you see them, plumes. Great jets of water spraying out from its south pole, like fountains rising from cracks in the ice. These cracks are called the tiger stripes, long, warm fissures that stretch across the southern region of the moon. From within them, salty water shoots into space at over 400 meters per second. It freezes instantly in the cold of space, forming a shimmering mist around the moon. And some of that ice joins Saturn's E-ring, which Enceladus helps sustain. But where does the water come from? Beneath the frozen crust lies something astonishing. A global ocean. Liquid water hidden under layers of ice. Heated from below by tidal forces, the gentle squeezing and flexing of Enceladus as it orbits Saturn. The Cassini spacecraft flew through those plumes, and it found more than water. It found organic molecules, salts, hydrogen gas, all the ingredients for life. And so, this tiny, frozen moon has become one of the most promising places to search for life beyond Earth. Not life we can see. Not yet. But microbial life, perhaps. Tiny organisms drifting in a dark, hidden sea. You float above the tiger stripes now. The plumes drift up around you, sparkling in the starlight. There's no sound. But you feel something. Something ancient. Something sacred. The whisper of water. The whisper of life. The whisper of a moon that hides a secret ocean in its heart. And as you drift on, you leave behind the fountains of Enceladus. Still listening. Still dreaming. Saturn does not keep to a single moon. It holds a family, over 140 confirmed moons and moonlets. Some are vast, like Titan. Some are tiny, no bigger than a mountain. But in their numbers, there is beauty. And in their strangeness, wonder. Tonight, we drift quietly past a few of the most curious. First comes Iapetus, a moon that appears split. One side is dark as coal, the other pale as snow. It's not a trick of shadow, this is real. A true dichotomy. Scientists believe it may be caused by dust falling onto the moon from a more distant moon, Phoebe, and spreading through temperature and ice migration. The effect is haunting. As if the moon is turning toward you and away from you at the same time. You float above its great ridge at the wall that runs along the equator like the spine of a forgotten world. It feels like myth. Like story made solid. Next comes Mimas, small, icy, and battered. You've likely seen it before. Its most famous feature is Herschel crater, a vast impact scar that makes the Moon resemble a giant eye, or, to pop culture fans, the Death Star. But Mimas is quiet. It does not fire lasers. It reflects sunlight and remembers ancient collisions. Some wonder if it hides a subsurface ocean like Enceladus, though we don't yet know for sure. Tonight, it simply watches you pass. Unblinking. Silent. Still. You drift past Dion, whose icy cliffs are lined with long, bright fractures like frozen scars. It, too, may have an ocean deep beneath the crust. Then comes Rhea, Saturn's second largest moon, pale, cratered, and timeless. Once thought to have its own ring system, Rhea remains a moon of questions. Tessis glides past next, bright and smooth, with a great canyon slashed across its face. And finally, Hyperion, a strange, sponge-like world, tumbling through space with no fixed orientation. Its low gravity makes its surface soft and porous, like a frozen sea sponge lost in orbit. Each moon is different. Each one has a story. And though they may never speak aloud, you can feel their voices in the silence. Together, they orbit Saturn like memories, fragments of a world much older than Earth. And tonight, in the hush of their motion, you listen. You drift on, held by Saturn's gravity, surrounded by a chorus of moons, each whispering something the stars remember, long before you drifted here in dream. Others made the journey, not in sleep, but in science. Voyager? Cassini. Two spacecraft, born of Earth, sent into the blackness. To listen, to watch, to whisper back what they found. In 1980, Voyager 1 arrived. A visitor from a blue world, it flew past Saturn, taking the first close-up photographs of the rings, the atmosphere, and the icy moons. Then it moved on, toward the stars, still traveling even now. But in that brief encounter, it showed us Saturn's vastness. Its storms. Its shadows. Its grace. And it taught us to wonder more deeply. Then came Cassini. Launched in 1997. It took 7 years to reach Saturn. And when it arrived in 2004, everything changed. Cassini didn't just pass by. It stayed. For 13 years, it orbited Saturn, diving between rings, flying past moons, sending back over 450,000 images. It discovered the plumes of Enceladus, mapped Titan's methane seas, watched storms rise and fade, measured magnetic fields, sailed through Saturn's shadow. It saw more than we'd ever imagined. And it saw with grace. But all stories end. By 2017, Cassini was running low on fuel. And rather than leave it drifting endlessly, or risk crashing into a moon, NASA chose a poetic ending. Cassini was commanded to dive straight into Saturn. On September 15, 2017, Cassini entered the atmosphere and burned. But even in those final moments, it sent back data, a final whisper. Then, silence. Back on Earth, people watched. Scientists, engineers, dreamers, children. Some wept. Because Cassini was more than a machine. It was curiosity made real. A listener. A traveler. A silent witness to wonders no human had ever touched. And tonight, as you float near the very place where it vanished, you feel its presence. Not in metal. Not in engines. But in the way Saturn welcomes you. The way its rings glow. The way its moons drift. Cassini taught us to listen. And in that listening, to dream. The age and birth of Saturn. Before the rings. Before the moons. Before the winds and auroras and stories. There was dust. Fine grains of matter floating in the ancient void. Leftover pieces from the birth of the sun, part of a vast solar nebula, circling and cooling and coalescing. It was here, over 5 billion years ago, that Saturn began to form. Not as a giant at first, but as a core, a collection of heavy elements slowly pulling gas toward it. Bit by bit. Layer by layer. It grew. It pulled in hydrogen, the lightest of elements. Helium, second only to silence. And soon, Saturn became a true gas giant, second only to Jupiter in mass and majesty. Saturn didn't just appear, it had an influence. Its gravity, immense and commanding, helped shape the solar system's layout. It prevented certain planets from forming in the asteroid belt. It tugged on comets and objects in the outer reaches. And together with Jupiter, it may have helped scatter water-rich bodies toward Earth, seeding our world with oceans. Saturn did not just witness the early solar system. It helped write it. Saturn today is still evolving. Its rings, though breathtaking, may not be as old as the planet itself. Some scientists believe they could be only 100 million years old, born from a shattered moon or icy body torn apart by tidal forces. And the planet continues to change. Its core may be dissolving slowly. Its magnetic field still puzzles us. Its storms still swirl. But it endures. Not as a relic, but as a presence. A golden memory of the universe's first fires. Still turning. Still singing. You drift now in that memory, surrounded by ancient light. The story of Saturn's birth unfolding in silence. You are not just looking at a planet. You are looking at history, written in clouds, shaped in gravity, carved in orbit. And it invites you to rest. Because everything that has ever lived or loved once belonged to a place like this. You return now to the orbit of the rings. They stretch around Saturn like a vast halo, shimmering, delicate, endless in their motion. You've seen their size. You've floated above their gaps. You've felt the hush of their icy music. But now, you pause. And you see them differently. Not as debris. Not as particles. But as time made visible. Mirrors of the past, each grain of ice in the rings once belonged to something larger. Perhaps a moon. Perhaps a comet. Perhaps something we will never name. Something broke apart, long ago. And its remains were not lost, but transformed into these rings. and they orbit still, carrying their history around and around Saturn, like the grooves of a record playing over and over again. Every ring tells a story. Every ripple, a memory. Just like the rings on a tree, or the lines on a face. Temporary eternity, and here's what may be the most poetic truth of all. These rings are not permanent. Saturn's gravity slowly pulls them in, a phenomenon scientists call ring rain. It falls silently, a drizzle of ice descending into the upper atmosphere. In another 100 million years, perhaps a blink in cosmic time, the rings may vanish entirely. And yet, they are here now. Radiant. Spinning. Eternal in this moment. Like so much in life, beautiful and brief. The circle that holds stillness, as you drift quietly among them, you realize something. Rings are not just decoration. They are symbol. They have no beginning, no end. They represent wholeness, cycles, return. The seasons, the tides, the orbits of planets, the rhythms of breath. And so, Saturn, the planet of rings, becomes a teacher. It reminds us, everything moves in circles. Everything changes. But some things remain, not in shape, but in meaning. And that meaning stays with you, even as you drift further away. You carry it. You float now at the edge of Saturn's kingdom. Beyond the last moon, beyond the faintest ring, where space stretches wide and stars begin to reclaim the sky. Behind you, Saturn glows. Still spinning. Still listening. The rings shimmer one last time, a soft glint of light catching on a frozen arc of ice. And slowly, gently, you begin to drift away. Not pushed. Not pulled. Just released. As the distance grows, Saturn becomes smaller. Its golden color softens. Its rings become thin threads of light. But you do not feel loss. You feel peace. Like the final note of a lullaby. Like the closing of a book. Like the last light of dusk folding into night. You visited Saturn. You heard its storms. You flew through its rings. You touched the mists of Titan and danced in the fountains of Enceladus. You listened to the silent moons. You followed the paths of Voyager and Cassini. And though no footsteps remain, your imagination was here. And that is enough. As sleep begins to gently arrive, you remember what Saturn truly is. Not just a ball of gas. Not just a spectacle. But a keeper of time. Its rings, its moons, its storms, its silence. They are the slow clockwork of a cosmos still unfolding. And here, in this moment of quiet, you belong to that unfolding. You are part of the same story. The same dust. The same wonder. The same motion through the stars. Your breath is slow now. Saturn is far behind. A pale lantern in the vastness. The stars stretch before you. The night deepens. You do not need to go further. You are already where you need to be. Floating. Still. Safe. Carried by the story. Held by the silence. Dreaming among the planets. Good night.